This case got more publicity than anything we'd ever seen. Here at Harmonic Life, we would like to try a new approach to solving this case, astrological forensics. We've never seen anyone try this approach before, and luckily, we've got just the tools for the job, the divine messengers. Luckily, we have accurate birth times for OJ and Nicole. In other periods in history without exact birth times and computers, even if you knew the ancient art science of astrology, I'm not sure astroforensics, the way I do it, would be possible. Of course, horary would still work with limited tooling and no birth times, but the techniques which you'll see in this video, birth time-based directions and zodiac charts, not so much. Let's begin with the juice, OJ. OJ was a super professional athlete, so we know he was strong, and even though he appears to be a baby-faced gentle giant, one thing stands out. His 8th house, Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, which equals death on his chart. Notice that Jupiter is angular on the mid-Hades, turbocharged. This planet will be used by the divine double taps later on in this presentation to pinpoint the exact time of Nicole's death, something that was crucial in the trial but never really pinpointed. O.J. Simpson. He was a professional football player and TV star.
Whenever I study any kind of astrological situation, I like to look at the personality of the person, kind of get a feel for what they're doing. So OJ, everyone knows him. He was like kind of a baby-faced, very talented athlete, funny guy, good in movies. And then he had problems with, I guess, when he was married, there was like some wife beating stuff. There was, the murder thing. And then a bunch of other violent stuff after that too. So there was good and bad. But here's his chart. I put the exact time just so I could do the moon aspects. So we'll talk about his personality. So sun sign in Cancer. Cancer is typically like a maternal, kind of like a soft, kind of, I guess right here it says reserved, retiring, sensitive disposition. Yeah, sensitive. That's the right word. So he comes across as a sensitive person, all that, until you play football with him. Then he probably runs you over. But Sun trine Jupiter, gifted in the professions ruled by Jupiter, including education, law, publishing, philanthropy. So he's probably very generous, very fortunate person. Yeah, he was very fortunate. Spirit of abundance and generosity, wisdom. So this is a really good aspect, and it's very strong. So that's a good one. Moon trine Mercury, quick in wit, ingenious, perceptive. So he's quick in wit, right? Well, that's good. Low latency brain. Funny guy. Probably good for athletics too. Moon semi-square Saturn in detriment. So the person's poor. So even though he's good at making money, he's probably good at losing it too. Let's see. You have to, let's see, this is interesting right here. It says, usually marries more than once. A bad aspect for speculation. Okay, that looks like about that because, the moon is the feminine person and Saturn, him in detriment with 135 aspect. That's going to produce someone who gets married more than once. Moon square Uranus. Impulsive, sarcastic, abrupt, peculiar, eclectic and independent, danger, honor near the water, trouble through the opposite sex. So Uranus usually is rebellion, unexpected things. Usually like in the US chart, there's wars, different things like that. When Uranus returns to where it was, or there's aspects with Uranus. There's a book called The Fourth Turning that sort of hits the same cycles without using astrology. But anyways, the moon is the woman in your life, so square Uranus. So this probably made him a little bit have problems with his relationships, right? Okay. Moon 135 Pluto, similar to the one before it, right? It's the moon, Uranus in a bad aspect. This one's the moon. So severe emotional trauma, and he internalizes it. So if there's difficulties with the opposite sex and he internalizes trauma, it probably lets stuff build up. And then he has he's an athlete, so he's aggressive, right? So that's something to be careful with. I'm going to skip this one because I don't like 30-degree aspects. I think they're too weak. Venus 135 Jupiter. This is somebody, Venus is like money, sexy, fun things like that. Jupiter is like a lot of it. So the people with this type of aspect, is a challenging aspect, 135, they want to appear rich. He was rich, but he liked to show off that he was rich. Okay. Venus trine Chiron. This is a good one. Chiron's like charisma, traditional family values. Venus could be the woman in a relationship, could also be money, could be a sense of humor, but trine is a very good aspect. So this is somebody like what it says here, right? It's a romantic aspect, traditional family values, charismatic beauty, love of family, love of marriage, all the traditional things, right? Strong marriage, strong family, career involved with making money, because Venus is also money, and Chiron's charismatic amounts of it. So this is very strong in his chart, this Venus Chiron. Okay, Mars, Saturn, control of war. This is one of those ones that made him a good football player, because Mars is aggression and muscles, military strength, and then Saturn is control and detriment. So control of war, right? Obsessive desire, sustained energy. So this probably helped him with his football career. Mars trine Neptune. Neptune's things that are long lasting. Mars has muscles, so stamina, endurance, long-lasting. So probably this helped with his football career, right? Long-term war, right? Because Neptune's long-lasting. So if you get in a fight with him, it doesn't just end. He can hold a grudge. Saturn in detriment, semi-square Uranus. Again, the war thing and control thing. So I'm just going to say control of war. That's how I would say this one. I probably should rewrite this. It's a little bit confusing. Oh, wait, maybe there's more down here. And disrespect for laws. Okay, let's see. Saturn 60 Neptune, Saturn in detriment. I don't know. This one, I don't think this really applies. Unhappiness with prevailing wars, that's very general. I should probably rewrite that one too. Okay, declinations. This is something most websites don't use, but I learned this a long time ago from the Magi Society, which I belong to. And I like these. These are very accurate. Sun parallel Venus, a person of beauty or charm. Yeah, and he had, like I said in the beginning, he has that baby face thing going. Comedians, good sense of humor, can handle wealth. Sun parallel Uranus, attracted to fame, a public personality, innovative person, original thinker. Yeah, Uranus is usually the public. And then the sun is you, the person, so very good in front of the public. The public loves him. He's a lovable guy. Mercury, 180 Jupiter. So Mercury's your thinking, Jupiter's wisdom. Obstacles and difficulties regarding matters ruled by the houses they occupy. Unfinished education or accomplishments. Liability to deceit or poor judgment. Okay. Venus, Uranus, loved and adored by the public again. Beautiful on screen and in print. Money from sources ruled by Uranus. Yep. Uranus, like I said, is the public and things like that. Entertainment, broadcasting, movies. So besides football, he did well in entertainment. And then Venus, Pluto. Venus is love. Pluto is like overkill. So sex symbol, love of sexuality, power from beauty. I call this one the porn star aspect because a lot of porn stars have this one. But Pluto is like overkill and Venus is love, so you get the idea. And then last but not least, Uranus parallel Pluto, ability to have power and control over the public. So that's OJ's personality chart. Now we'll take a look at Nicole's, and then we'll look at the night of the murder and see what was going on then.
Simpson, jealous. Although OJ may have looked like a nice enough guy, here are some reports from friends and family that he would snap into violent, jealous rages sometimes. Nicole's birth chart. Nicole was an actress. Though not very famous, she had 8th house Libra, Venus ruler, death on her chart. This will factor in later, pinpointing the time of her death using double taps in reverse. Nicole Simpson on her wedding day.
All right, now we're going to take a look at Nicole Brown Simpson's personality chart. If you notice, again, there's no houses here because we don't, in this one, it's just for the personality, so I didn't put the houses. Okay, so let's take a look. So her sun is on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini. So this isn't, super important, but Taurus basically, it's an earth sign, so they're stable. They like material things, refined arts and all that. Okay, Gemini, more communicator, fond of home and children, Let's see what else. Yeah, because it's a dual sign Gemini. It means usually they have two professions. Okay, I don't know what she did for a living. I just studied pretty much OJ and her in the night that the thing happened, but it'd be interesting to look at what she did for a living. All right, so the first one here is Sun, 45 Venus. So this one says extravagant, overfond of pleasure and luxury, amorous and mutable in the affections. So see, it's the Sun, which is her, and then in a challenging aspect to Venus. So she liked finer things, but she could change her mind quick, right? So OJ was good because he had a lot of money and he loved to flaunt wealth. And then she met him and probably, they fit in that way, but she probably got bored of him easy too. Sun opposite Jupiter. So this is financial setbacks through miscalculations in investments, speculations in error, litigation, premature action. Yeah, definitely she made a financial setback through a miscalculation with OJ because, yeah, he had issues, right? But here, so this is going to be a tough one. She probably spent a lot of money or lost a lot of money. Sun square Chiron. Again, the Sun is her. Chiron is traditional family values and charisma. It's a square, which means there was probably something in a relationship or it was probably rough for OJ to be married to her. Okay. Moon 150 Mercury. She's quick in wit. I think OJ had that one too, what we saw before. Splendid mental abilities, keen and penetrating, expressive, fluent. So she's good communication skills, emotional, things like that, can communicate emotions well. Moon square Venus. Moon is the feminine in the chart or the emotions in the chart, square Venus. So emotionally changeable. So again, that's two aspects now where it says that emotionally she wasn't very stable, so she could change, and that's probably one of those things that's going to make a guy like OJ, angry. So this isn't good. It's tough for a guy if a woman is emotionally changeable, especially where love relations are concerned. And this is a hard aspect square. The only harder one would be a 180. This is pretty challenging. So scandal, bad for financial pursuits. So again, she has two where she probably wasted a lot of money and emotionally changeable. And then if OJ has a temper, this is kind of two already where it's not in her favor with him. Okay, Moon square Saturn. Her Saturn's in rulership, which makes Saturn strong. Okay, so this one, so square. So it indicates the person is poor or loses money. So this is three she has now where she either wastes money, has a hard time with money, or becomes poor. All right, so and she likes money because we saw the Venus in the beginning. But when she gets it, she tends to make it disappear. So that's what it's just showing here. Mercury's communications, sextile Venus. So intelligent, good communicator. So it's basically beautiful speech, right? So good speech. Okay. Mercury square Uranus. Mercury's thinking. Uranus is basically unexpected things or rebellious things. So active mentality, impulsive, irregular, and sarcastic turns of mind. So this one, I've seen a lot of charts where people have this, and it makes people just say and do kind of really sketchy, weird, out of the blue things that are weird, right? So I won't say the name I use for this aspect. I have a politically incorrect term for it, but people come up with just random wacky stuff, and it's just it throws people for a loop when they hear you. You're like, whoa, where did that come from? Right, so that's kind of a weird one. Venus, again, is love and money and beauty. Jupiter is good fortune, but 135 is a hard aspect again. So they want to be rich and they want to do all those things, and they'll try to appear rich, but we already saw Nicole has three aspects where she pretty much gets rid of money in a hurry. Okay. Jupiter square Chiron. Chiron's traditional family values. Jupiter is blessed, so she's trying to have a traditional family value, but it's very tough, right? So that's going to be a tough one for her. Saturn, ruler, which is a strong Saturn. That means this aspect's going to be really effective. 60 degrees Neptune. Unhappiness with prevailing mores. I think OJ had the same one, so we'll skip that one. Nothing major there. Declinations, again, let's see, Sun is her. Jupiter, opposite. So again, this is the fourth aspect now with financial setbacks through miscalculations. So she likes money. She likes to show off money, but she has four aspects now where she wastes it or makes it disappear. So that's not good. Okay, Mars in fall. So that makes this weak. It weakens Mars. Opposite Saturn, which is rulership. So this one, the mind and senses act in conflict, causing discord, selfishness, quick temper, violence, rash, hasty, impulsive acts, deception, resentment, cruel. So what this is basically saying is we have 4 aspects where she wastes money. She likes to have money. She's mutable in her affections. She changes in her affections. And then here, this one's saying that she's selfish and has a quick temper. She's violent. She's rash, hasty. So if she gets angry, especially with money, she's going to get feisty, right? And that's going to be a problem, especially if you're married to OJ. Mars in its fall, again, parallel Pluto. So she had good muscles, good at big business. But then she has the 4 other aspects saying she makes money disappear. So that's bad. Jupiter opposite Uranus. Loss through impulse, unwise judgment, or imprudent action, risky ventures, unpremeditated acts. Yeah, so this one's going to be another one, I think the 5th one now, where she can make things disappear for whatever reason. And then Saturn in its rulership opposite Pluto, jealousy. So she has 2, so she has jealous, lust, dominance. The other one gives her where she's selfish. So she's kind of a self-centered person who loves money and mutable in affection. So the personality there, then you get someone like OJ who likes to be in charge and they're dominant. It's going to cause friction, right? So that's Nicole's personality in a nutshell.
Ron Goldman was the waiter at a restaurant where Nicole used to eat near her house in Brentwood, an upscale neighborhood.
Okay, Ron Goldman, he was a person who dropped off sunglasses. He worked at a restaurant where Nicole ate, and she left her sunglasses there, is the story as I understand it. And he took those glasses back to her house that night, and that's when, he got killed too. So we're going to take a look at his personality. So let's see here. As I understand it, he was an actor, waiter, the whole LA type of thing. So we'll take a look here. So sun sign in Cancer, that's like OJ, right? So sensitive, good imagination, dramatic, okay. Longitude, Sun conjunct Mars. He has Mars in the fall, so Mars will be weaker there. So athlete, professional sports, male, sex symbol, aggressive. Okay, so right here, this is telling me he's an aggressive person, even though he's like a good-looking actor guy. He has this Mars-Sun conjunction, so he's going to be aggressive and athletic. And if he meets with someone like OJ, who's super-duper athletic, this could be a problem. Okay, Sun 135 Neptune. So this one means Neptune things that are long-lasting, and the Sun here. So he doesn't do well with long-lasting things, right? Unstable, a tendency toward discord in relationships, lacking determination, given to weird relationships. So he's going to have kind of like mamby-pamby relationships where they don't last long, but he's masculine, so, he's the man type of thing. So, okay, so that's in there. Moon square Mercury. Moon is emotions, like we talked about. Mercury is square. It's a hard aspect. So anxiety, worry, quick, sharp, sarcastic. He worries a lot. Okay, yet ingenious. So he's smart, but worries a lot. Business losses, litigation, so probably it's hard for him to earn money. Probably hard time with writing too, because Mercury's writing. Okay, Moon conjunct Pluto. So the Moon is going to be the woman or his emotions, and then Pluto's like overkill or, going nuclear on something. Resilient to change, makes the best of circumstances, emotionally sensitive, able to influence others, strong emotional drive. So this means he's very emotional and it's very strong. So if he did meet up with OJ and he was emotional about it, that was going to escalate quickly. Okay, Mercury ruler. So Mercury's going to be really strong on this aspect. Saturn's going to be weak, but this one's going to be strong ability to concentrate mentally. Okay, disciplined mind over body. So this aspect, I usually call this the Albert Einstein aspect because Albert Einstein had Mercury eclipsing Saturn on his chart, which basically means control of thought or able to concentrate. So he had I bet he was pretty smart. Okay, the only thing, Saturn's in fall in there, but yeah, he was probably very smart. Mercury square Uranus. So this one, I think Nicole had this one too, right? Mercury's thinking, Uranus is just random, abnormal. I won't tell you the exact name I use for this aspect in private because it's not politically correct, but you do say stupid things. So impulsive, irregular, sarcastic turns of mind. You say things that you didn't really think about and they come out weird. So this is kind of a weird aspect. Mercury 150 Neptune. Okay, so this is a good one for artistic, talented at singing, productive mind, creative, musical, natural acting skills. So he had a few different things going on, right? So it'd probably be hard for him to pick a career. Yeah, he had a few different things here. So acting would have been good for him. Music could have been good for him. He was smart, so he could have done a smart thing, you know, like work in like IT or math or whatever, right? Some kind of Einstein thing. And then he had the Mars Sun thing, so he was also athletic. So he had a variety of things to choose from. Okay, Mercury square Pluto. This is a hard aspect, 90. So Mercury's thinking, and Pluto's like overkill, going nuclear on something. So snap judgments are made. And yeah, this one, typically, if people don't think like you hate them right away, right? So you're merciless to people that don't think like you. Okay, Mars 135 Neptune. This is a semi-square. Mars is that masculine, vibe. Neptune is long-lasting, kind of a more feminine thing. So what is this one? Liable to trouble arising from relations with the opposite sex and through scandal. Yeah, he definitely had trouble with the opposite sex and scandal, that's for sure. Jupiter 150 Chiron. Jupiter in his detriment. This is a good aspect, though. One of the most powerful aspects, so fabulous public image, commanding presence. So I think OJ had something similar, right? The public loves them. They're lovable. They have charisma. Okay, that's good. Saturn in its fall, 150 Uranus. Charismatic and almost hypnotic. So again, the people love him. And I think he was working as a waiter at the time, so I bet everyone at the restaurant loved him. And that's probably how he met Nicole. He had charisma, and he was all popular there. And she popped in, and she had the mutable affections. She was like, oh, look at this guy, right? So, and he's charming. So you could see where they could start kind of hanging out and everything. That makes sense. Saturn 150 Neptune. Saturn in his fall. Unhappiness with prevailing words. That's funny. I think her, Nicole, and OJ all had this aspect. Okay, so idealists. Uranus 60 Neptune. Ability to present artistic talent to the world and to perform to a large audience. So yeah, he had some acting skills, and people liked him, right? So good in front of people. Now declinations. Sun parallel Venus. So I think Nicole had this one too. Person of beauty or charm, a model, someone who could be a model. So comedian, good sense of humor, good looking. Sun parallel Mars in its fall. Again, athlete, professional sports, male sex symbol. So he actually has an eclipse of Sun and Mars. If I had met him personally, I would know that the main thing in his chart was that he's very masculine, very athletic, probably likes to lift weights. He's more kind of alpha-ish, kind of tough guy type of thing, right? Likes war, likes all the Mars things. So that didn't help. If he had a crush on Nicole and OJ showed up, you could see where this would be a problem, because OJ, he is an athlete, and he's trained to take people down. And this guy's, he's doing acting or waitering, but he's, kind of athletic. That's a bad mix. Moon parallel Chiron, strong desire for marriage and children. So he's a family guy, okay. Venus parallel Mars in its fall, grace of motion, Mars. So this is going to be beautiful muscles. I think Hitler actually had the same aspect. And you can do this one two ways. Venus is beauty, and Mars is muscles or aggression. So this can be a love of war, or you can do somebody who has beautiful muscles, like be a bodybuilder. And he had the Sun-Mars aspect, so he probably could have been a bodybuilder or a hybrid. He could have been a bodybuilder and somebody who loved war also. Okay, then Neptune, 180 Pluto. Powers from idea, religion, and sex, and anything ruled by Neptune, and ability to inject religion into anything. So he's the type of person, if you get an argument with him, he'll start up with the Bible, or he start up with spiritual things, and it'll get weird, right? So that's Ron Goldman's personality.
The night of the murder, June 12, 1994. Divine double taps are used to find a person's birth time. Our lives interact with the heavens using very precise rules and laws, always. This fact can be used to reverse engineer all kinds of interesting things in our lives, like what's likely to happen and when. Luckily, in the O.J. Simpson's murder case, we have the birth certificates of the parties involved, so that saves us some time in this astro-forensics study. Some things that may have been triggering O.J. Remember some of the things causing O.J. angst? O.J. was paying Nicole $10,000 a month in child support. He's a professional athlete trained to be highly physical. Ron Goldman probably got aggressive with OJ when he showed up because it sounds like he had a crush on Nicole. How do we know they met outside? Nicole's dog was found outside wandering around with the bloody paws, and their bodies were found outside. This means that when Ron Goldman brought the glasses to Nicole, they probably met outside with the door open and OJ showed up. This fits the facts.
So what I did here is I took a divine double tap in harmonic life, and what I did, I put in the I pretended that the time of death when Nicole Simpson died was the person's birth date, where you don't know the birth time. So I did it reverse because I know O.J. Simpson's birth time and I know Nicole's birth time. What I didn't know was the time she died. So I put that in, like the birth date, right into the website. And I know more or less the timing because it had to be after Ron Goldman got off of work because they saw him at work. And then O.J. Simpson got on an airplane at 11:45 p.m. that night. So it's got to be in that range from like 6 to like midnight, let's say. So I put in 10 p.m. and I went 3 hours on either side, right? So then that was like the calculation. It happened in LA, so I used Los Angeles. And then down here, I put in the times for OJ, Nicole, and Ron. Ron's I didn't know, so that was more like just for aspects later if I wanted to look at it in the report. But these two I knew, so I used these for the divine double taps, and then I ran it.
Here's a divine double tap for the time of Nicole Brown Simpson's death. I highlighted the one that makes the most sense given the police timeline and news reports. 10:20 to 10:35 p.m. I'll show you why this is the right time astrologically. There's a handful of laws that are unbreakable in astrology, and this fact is what we use to generate the divine double taps. On Sunday, June 12, 1994, at 6:30 p.m., Nicole Brown Simpson had dinner with her children and others at Messaluna restaurant in Brentwood, where Ron Goldman was a waiter. At 8 p.m., they left the restaurant and got ice cream on the way home, Court TV reported. At 9:15 p.m., one of Nicole's sisters called Messaluna to say that Nicole left her glasses there. Waiter Ron Goldman offered to return them. He left the restaurant around 9:50 p.m. according to witness testimonies in the subsequent murder trial. At 10:15 or 10:20 p.m., Pablo Franges, a neighbor, testified that he heard Nicole's dog, an Akita named Cato, crying. At 10:30 p.m., a neighbor found Nicole's dog with bloody paws roaming around the neighborhood, which means by this time the murder had already occurred. This fits with our divine double taps. Finally, at 11:45 p.m., O.J. boarded a flight to Chicago from LAX. Because Ron Goldman left the restaurant at 9:50 p.m. and Nicole's dog with bloody paw prints was found at 10:30 p.m., only one double tap makes sense. It's the 10:20 to 10:30 p.m. Jupiter double tap. O.J.'s ruler of death. Let's look and see.
Over the next couple of slides, I'd like to take a look at a couple of death events for OJ, and they both involve Jupiter, and I'd like to show you how angles and Jupiter on OJ's chart, and everybody's chart except different planets, of course, but Jupiter is his 8th house ruler, which is death. So let's take a look right now at the night of Nicole's murder and some interesting things before we start. This is only 9:20 p.m. I'm going to move forward to 10:20 p.m., the time that looks like she was murdered. But if you notice here, first of all, in OJ's 12th house is self-undoing. We have a Venus return. Venus here, and Venus here. And remember, Venus is also the death ruler on Nicole's chart. And it's feminine, so it kind of fits nice, right? So that's something to watch. The other one, too, is over here in the 4th house, he has Jupiter return, and Jupiter is his 8th house ruler, so death. So what we're going to look at is, it's interesting, right? 2 returns of kind of 2 naughty planets. We're going to look at the angles and see times when Jupiter's angular, you'd expect something deathy to happen. And that's what we're going to take a look at. So right now it's 9:20 p.m. So I'm going to go forward 5 minutes at a time. And you'll see here, we'll keep an eye on the descendant and on the midheaven. So 5, you can see here it's 9:30. So here's our first hit. We have Jupiter right here on his midheaven at 9:40 p.m. But that wasn't the time that we were interested in, right? Because at this time, Ron Goldman is still at the restaurant. He didn't leave the restaurant till 9:50. So let's roll forward a little bit, right? So we have another Jupiter over here coming up. And you see the descendants moving towards Venus. We're at 10:05. I'm going to go a minute at a time. So you see here it's 10:08 p.m. We have descendant here, the midheaven here coming up on Jupiter, but the descendants coming up on Venus, right? So 10:17. And here we are right around 10:20, 10:21. Let's say 10:22, just for completeness sake. We have Venus, Nicole's 8th house ruler, angular. And then we have Jupiter, which is going to be OJ's 8th house ruler, both angular. And we have 2 returns. So that's a lot of witness that this time is very significant, right around 10:22 p.m. And in a few slides, we'll look at the date when OJ actually dies, and you'll see something very similar.
OJ died on April 10th, 2024, another Jupiter strike, his 8th house ruler.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the day that OJ actually died. We saw in the previous slides that whenever the angles in Jupiter, his 8th house ruler, came in contact, there was significant death-related events on his chart. So again, as we saw in the previous chart, he has a Venus return in the 12th house. Venus is Nicole's 8th house ruler. Also, his 4th house has a Jupiter return, and we know Jupiter is OJ's ruler for death, as we talked about before. But now what we're going to look at is when he died, which I think was April 10th, 2024, so not too long ago. We would expect to see, again, another Jupiter angle event. So let's take a look. Here's Jupiter. We're at 1994. I'm going to go forward to 2024. So let's go. So here. So there's 2000, 2010, 2020. So it's 2024. So here's Jupiter up here. Now let's go back to April 10th. So back 2 months, and then we're on the 6th, so forward 4 days. So this is the day OJ died, and wouldn't you know it, Jupiter is 8th house ruler, right on the midheaven, that green MC, that's his midheaven. And then down below, this may look familiar too, on his birth chart, he has Jupiter also angular on his mid-Hades, a term, I actually made that up because it didn't make sense to me to call it imam coli, like they do in astrology. Midheaven is directly above. Mid-Hades is directly below, but whatever you want to call it, it's directly below, it's your angle. So Jupiter IC at birth, and then Jupiter midheaven at death. What are the odds? Nothing happens randomly down here. There's a design to everything, and there's a purpose for every single event in life.
Did this have to happen? A lot of people think that stars control your life. They don't. They are a divine mechanism to force us to learn how to love. Our underworld trip through the zodiac, hell, our human incarnation, is a curriculum used by the divine realm to teach us to learn how to love. If we act out of love and mercy, we can audit the classes presented to us by the planetary zodiac and test out as we move up to more advanced lessons, like a normal school. If we act from our lower vibrational cardinal natures like snakes, then we will fail our classes and be forced to repeat them. Not fun. The choice is ours. Old and New Testament. Have you ever wondered why the Old Testament tells us to fear God or else die? And why Jesus in the New Testament is always about obeying the divine spirit and not threatening death and punishment everywhere? That bothered me for a long time too. It's because the Old Testament is about our carnal snake nature. It shows that when you obey your lower carnal snake nature, your world will come to an end. And like Jesus taught, When you are tapped into the divine realm and guided by your divine inner nature, you live and bless others in the process. Watch our Snake in the Wilderness video on our channel to learn more. Choose life. I call the heavens and the earth to witness today against you that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Therefore, choose life that both you and your seed may live. Deuteronomy 30:19.